It's Thursday, and you know what that means, right? If you're me, it means free video game day. Every week, Epic Game Store gives away 1 or 2 free computer games on Thursday morning, and all you have to do is log in and grab them, which takes all of maybe 2 minutes. And this is one of those circumstances where what you're getting is really, truly free. I've been doing this since Epic Game Store started this promotion in 2018, and I've gotten hundreds of free games from them over the years, on average about 2 per week. But how can a store that sells video games afford to give them away for free, not just every now and then, but every week? Simply put, they spend a lot of money on it. In 2021, a court filing revealed that in just the first 10 months of the Epic Game Store's existence, Epic had spent about $12 million on these free games. And some of these giveaways cost them at least that much for one game. After all, Epic has given away some major top-shelf titles like Fallout New Vegas, The Sims 4, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Star Wars Squadrons, Sonic Mania, the recent Tomb Raider reboot trilogy, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Borderlands 3, and Grand Theft Auto 5, just to name a few. While the details of these deals are rarely disclosed, those court filings and industry leaks have suggested that Epic tends to negotiate flat-rate deals with some smaller developers, maybe putting a few $1,000s in their pockets in exchange for giving away free copies of their games for a week, and per-unit deals with larger developers, basically negotiating a discounted unit price and then paying 100% of the cost per giveaway. Conservatively, we can project Epic has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this promotion over the years, and the goal has always been single-minded, to get more people using their platform. And it's worked to some degree. Epic hit 300 million users last year, with 78 million of those being monthly active users. And quite a few of those users are still playing Fortnite, by the way, one of the world's most popular games, and launched through the Epic Game Store software on computers. But player spending on the platform is only around $400 million, which sounds impressive until you learn that Steam, the main platform for computer gaming, had a revenue of $10.8 billion in 2024 with 132 million monthly active users. In other words, Steam takes in 27 times the revenue for less than twice the number of active users. And when Epic gives games away for free, publishers have said they see a bump in actual sales on Steam because there are people in the world who actually would rather pay to play the game on the digital platform they prefer than receive it for free on the one that they don't. To put that in perspective, imagine Walmart's website was giving away a free item every week, and some people were ordering it on Amazon instead because they wanted it to arrive more quickly. That's essentially what's happening here. But I don't want to spend much more time talking about Epic Game Store because I'd rather talk about promotional giveaways. And for that, we have a slang term to describe a lot of the free stuff that gets given away to the public. Swag. And much like those so-called free games I just mentioned, swag is a big industry for marketers, and an essential one too. I'm Sean in St. Louis, and this is the Marketing Gateway. So I was surprised in my research for this episode to learn that the word swag is not an acronym for stuff we all get, which is always what I was told back in my days of attending conventions and hitting the swag tables to see what sorts of freebies I could take home. According to an article on Snopes, the word swag actually comes from a Scandinavian term called svaga, which means to rock unsteadily or lurch, like on a boat. And it gradually evolved about being from swaying to becoming a word used to describe hanging garlands and wreaths, to describe Australian drifters, and as a term used to describe plunder or booty. It's this third sense of the word that seems to have entered into the popular lexicon and which refers to promotional giveaway items today. But there are also 2 parallel uses of the word that also have had a shaping influence on it. One of those words is swagger, which evolved over time from meaning stumbling around drunkenly to moving with conceited confidence. And also the street culture use of the word swag, which is also about confidence as well as having a sense of fashion. Both of these terms naturally play into marketing as well, because who doesn't want their promotional products to project a sense of success and confidence and maybe even fashion, right? And when I say promotional products, what I mean is that stuff that you'll find at tables and booths at conventions and trade shows. You know the stuff. There's pens and t-shirts and cups and bags and bottle openers and thumb drives and portable chargers and cooler bags and, hats and koozies and fidgets and, magnets and water bottles and just about anything else you can think of. All sorts of other things that you can slap a logo on and give away as a promotional item. But somebody has to pick up the bill for that stuff. And as someone who's purchased it himself for his own company, let me tell you, it is not cheap to give away free stuff. It's really easy to get into the thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to print up promo products for a trade show or convention, and even more when you factor in the freight. And the companies making these products are ever growing. Since 2011, the promotional product industry has grown dramatically from $17.7 billion in annual sales to $28 billion in 2025, with just a brief blip in 2020 and 2021 during the pandemic before things came roaring back in 2022. According to statistics provided by the website Sellers Commerce, 89% of people have long-term recall for brands from whom they've received promotional products, and 80% recall the messaging of the brand. 99% of people say they're willing to go out of their way to get a promotional product, and 87% of people keep the promotional products they receive for more than 1 year, and durable items tend to be kept far longer. And quality isn't the only consideration. Outerwear items create the highest level of impressions over their lifetime relative to other items since they're more expensive and durable, but t-shirts are also quite effective. Apparel items are also the ones that fare the best for brand recall, since people actually put them on their bodies and wear them. But even promotional mugs have a recall of 57%, which the article points out is better than the 28% who can recall what an advertiser on TV said. The report suggests that among the goods people might stick on their desks, drinkware, writing instruments, and desk accessories also tend to get a good number of impressions, but objects like power banks, USB drives, calendars, and hand sanitizer tend not to, probably because they get shoved in drawers until they're needed. And polo shirts are the real loser, probably because people don't want to wear branded polos for companies they don't work for, since they feel like a uniform and invite too many questions. The article also says that 39% of end buyers prefer apparel swag and 38% prefer office-related items. So if you're using the 80-20 rule, you can appeal to most of your buyers by offering one of those two categories when you give out items. Now, I find all of this super interesting because it suggests that effective promotional products aren't about utility or novelty so much as they're about being conspicuous parts of a person's lifestyle, either when they're working at their desk or when they're out and about outside of working hours. If an item deserves to be worn or displayed and is of high enough quality, it's likely to be something that will stick with people for quite a while. And indeed, I looked in my closet and I found many t-shirts, a jacket, some hoodies, and some really nice backpacks and duffel bags that I received as promotional products. And I know my wife has some of those too. We also have objects on our desks at both work and home for many brands, some of which have outlived the companies themselves. You know, my wife's mother once worked for Ameritech, and we still have stuff bearing its company name from the days before it became a part of Verizon, and that was like 20 years ago. It's also interesting to think about how these objects become a part of our actual lives, showing up in family pictures, being worn to social occasions, accompanying us on vacations, coming along with us to meetings, and so forth. They not only help us to form a stronger personal connection to those brands, but also display them to other people who might not have ever heard of them. But I can't think of too many major product companies that were relying on a swag campaign to supplant traditional media spending or digital marketing. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised given the clear benefits of giving promotional products away. You can spend a lot of money on media and not know if anyone's listening. But if you spend a comparable amount of money on t-shirts and give them away to the public, it's not unthinkable that you can generate a far better return for your marketing dollars and see your message last longer. Giveaway items are also a great way to support other marketing efforts like collecting email addresses, starting conversations with prospects, and attracting people to booths, tables, or events. The problem that a lot of companies run into, and I totally get this, is that they give away cheap junk and they don't see much of a return. So they presume that their effort is largely wasted. But when you give away something of value, it does bring people to you. So, what are the downsides of giving away free stuff? Well, the biggest problem is expectations. Startups and growing businesses encounter this all the time. They buy a bunch of nice promotional products to get things off the ground, and then they can't afford to maintain that level of spending as they grow. The result is that their early customers feel cheated out of continuing to get all that nice free stuff like t-shirts and jackets and really great pens that come in nice cases. And their later customers never form the same level of attachment to the brand because all they're getting are cheap water bottles, plastic pens that barely write, and reusable bags that fall apart the moment you put anything in them. I have seen this happen many times. Another problem is that free stuff requires plenty of effort to store, pack, and distribute. You often have to buy things in bulk and then receive huge shipments and find a place to store the stuff. A large amount of promotional product can require an entire team to inventory and repack for distribution. Those work hours and storage fees can add a lot of extra cost to the total price of the promo products. And even if you have them shipped directly to wherever you'll be handing them out, there's still the matter of someone needing to deal with all the leftover product and ensure it doesn't wind up in a dumpster. After all, who wants to see the cool stuff they paid to have their logo printed on tossed in the trash? Finally, giving away free stuff only really works if there's a strategy behind it. So one time I was at the grocery store and a representative from a breakfast cereal brand was handing out nice plastic bowls for a particular type of cereal. My son got one, and you know what? He still uses it today. He doesn't necessarily eat that brand of cereal, but when he is eating cereal in it, he's certainly at least thinking about it. That's smart strategy. But I was recently at a trade show and someone was handing out tins of mints that had their brand name on it. And there was some sort of pun on there, keeping things fresh or something like that. But it had almost no connection to their brand. So I gave it to my son. He ate the mints and tossed the tin in the recycling bin. It was wasted effort because it didn't really connect to the brand at all. And that is truly the key in all of this when you're thinking about promotional products. If you're going to give away free stuff, make sure it has some real value beyond simply being free. A t-shirt with a cool, stylized graffiti form of your logo is always going to be more desirable than a polo shirt with your logo on the right breast. When you're thinking about swag, remember that double meaning. It's got to inspire confidence as well as appeal to everyone's desire to get something for nothing. I'm Sean in St. Louis, and this has been the Marketing Gateway. See you next time. So our plug this month is for animal welfare and rescue. And I'm not going to mention any one particular organization as a place that I want you to designate your attention because there are so many that are in need. And whether you have a local animal shelter or humane society or a place that's doing trap and release or anything along those lines, there's always a need to donate to help support the care and rehabilitation of animals in your area. One group that I do like to donate to is Stray Rescue of St. Louis. They are very well regarded in terms of their reputation. They have a 90% score on Charity Navigator, and they do a great job of getting to know the animals within, especially the urban areas, that have been abused or neglected or just set loose. I've gotten loose from careless owners or things like that. And they help these animals to begin to trust humans again and to find forever homes. And I respect and admire their mission so much. But there are many other animal groups out there as well that are looking after and caring for animals that have been discarded. Now, I want to say I'm an animal lover, and there are many cats and dogs and other adoptable pets out there that people get with great intentions. When they're puppies or kittens, they're cute, right? They're fun to have, but they can't care for them properly. And instead of trying to find a good forever home for these pets, they'll go out and they'll drop them off in the woods, or they'll just kind of let them go loose in their neighborhood or things like that. And this almost always is one of the worst things you can do for these animals because they wind up coming back to where humans are living because they're dependent on humans for food. They get in fights with other pets. They get in fights with wildlife. They get hit by cars. A lot of bad things can happen. And the people that are out there watching for these animals, caring for them, having compassion for them are people that I respect and admire like you wouldn't believe. So again, I want you to take some time, research your local animal welfare organizations in your area, and be sure to give, because especially during the summer, these animals are threatened like you wouldn't believe by the heat and by just all the additional activity that's going on. And so anything you can do to help will make sure that these animals get another chance at a great life.